Brittany.
And I'm Becca.
And today we'll be creating a
Winogradsky column. So a Winogradsky column is a way to enrich microbes from sediment and soil.
Enrichment means to grow specific types of organisms to a larger population size in higher quantities than is normally found in nature.
So the different types of microorganisms survive in different types of environments. So if you look at this picture, each color represents a different microorganism.
You can also see on the side that as you go down, the oxygen levels also go down, but as you go down, the sulfide levels actually go higher.
So, what is a Winogradsky column? It is a jar or column that contains sediment and groundwater to provide a microbial ecosystem that fosters bacterial growth. Within this column is a wide range of environments, providing different nutrients essential for bacterial metabolic processes. For example, cyanobacteria are photosynthetic, so they require light and water to survive. Therefore, they are at the top of the column. On the other hand, Clostridium bacteria prefer anaerobic environments, so they are at the bottom of the column. Once the Winogradsky column is set up, the bacteria begin to grow in the environments that best suit their nutritional needs. Here is an animated picture of a Winogradsky column. The one on the left is what it looks like on day 1. The one on the right is what the column should look like after weeks of incubation. You should be able to see the defined layers separated by colors. This picture also lists the type of bacteria found in each layer, which represents each environment. So cyanobacteria is at the top, and Clostridium, which is your fermentative bacteria, is at the bottom. Now it's time to make a Winogradsky column. What you'll need to begin this experiment is a jar or column, a mixing bowl, a strainer, a shovel, a bucket, 400 milliliters of diatomaceous earth, 1 gram each of calcium carbonate, ammonium chloride, potassium phosphate, and sodium sulfate, 400 milliliters of sand, 2 grams of a cellulose source, you could use newspaper or paper towels, and sediment and groundwater, and you'll need enough to fill the jar with a milkshake-like consistency. The materials listed are what are going to help you scoop up the groundwater and sediment, sift through the debris, and provide nutrients for the microbes to grow inside your Winogradsky column. You may provide substitutes for some of the materials if you do not have access to them, but it is essential to provide, at minimum, the diatomaceous earth, sand, a sulfate source, and a cellulose source for the microbes to have a good, nutritious environment. So this is a picture of a typical and an atypical Winogradsky column. You can see that the column on the left has a variety of colors, each signifying a different microbial environment, while the one on the right is just dark, showing barely any sign of diversity. This is probably due to a lack of necessary nutrients in the column, thus stressing the importance of ensuring that there are adequate nutrient sources mixed into your sediment in the mixing bowl before pouring it into the column.
Now that you know what to do, gear up, grab your shovels and your buckets, and head outside.
As you're digging for mud, you should try to get as little organic matter in it as you can. This is just to reduce the amount of rinsing that you'll have to do later as we try to get this milkshake consistency. The process that we took to get our milkshake consistency was to put the mud on the inside of a colander and then run the water that you had collected over it, allowing the small sediments to pass through and the larger organic debris to stay separate. After separating the organic matter, you'll then take the sediment at the bottom of the bowl, allow it to sit, and then pour the excess water on top, creating the perfect milkshake consistency.
Now that you've got the consistency, you'll want to take your shredded paper or cellulose source and put it inside of your mud sample. You'll then add all of your other compounds into it, such as calcium carbonate and calcium sulfate. You'll put this in the bottom of your Winogradsky column or at the bottom of your jar, then adding more mud sample on top of it, keeping at least 1 inch from the top of the jar to fill it with pond water. After this, you should then put on a lid or cover the entrance to the jar or Winogradsky column and put it next to a window.
Throughout this several-week-long experiment, as your Winogradsky column stays by the window, remember to turn it around twice a week to ensure that each side of the column gets equal exposure to the sunlight. This is important for the photosynthetic bacteria that require sunlight to survive. Turning the column exposes all sides of the column to equal amounts of sunlight throughout the experiment.
And to conclude our video on how to make a Winogradsky column,
You should remember to add your nutrient sources
also make sure to have the correct milkshake consistency.
and to put it in direct sunlight. After a couple weeks, there should be a defined nutrient layer.
So thank you for watching our video on how to make a
Winogradsky column. Three, two, one. And to conclude,
and to conclude,
and to conclude.
all you did was read. That's all I was doing. And to can't do it. I can't do it.